is Sean Sewell with the Engearment.com podcast. Super excited today to have Kyle Miller, all the way from Finland. So this is going to be a really fun chat. Kyle's been, I want to say, an idol of mine and probably a lot of other people out there in the world. I know, well, yes, very much well-deserved. So
thank you.
My pleasure. So a little background on Kyle. He's a professional snowboarder, splitboarder, world traveler. He has a website worth checking out. Where is Kyle Miller? It's a great name for a website. In there, he goes over a lot of what he's accomplished as far as adventure, and he has interviews and trip reports and just a bunch of cool stuff. But Kyle, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. Before we get into it, I should state that the naming of Where is Kyle Miller had nothing to do with ski touring. It was actually me skipping out on ski school. So my boss and everybody around ski school was like, it's a powder day. Where is Kyle Miller? So it just randomly fell out that it became a ski touring website.
That is hilarious. I love that. That's you're just skipping out of teaching. I love it. Where is Kyle Miller?
He's so reliable.
Oh, how funny. So, you know, I was reading up on you. So you have a background in teaching then. So did you instruct ski or snowboard lessons?
Yeah, I actually was a snowboard instructor at Crystal Mountain in Washington State, probably for about 5 years. Mainly it was the dirtbag ski bum trying to get a season's pass for a super cheap price.
Absolutely.
And the price was right, so I was willing to donate the time.
I could dig that. I have friends that work at Crystal, Reed Pittman, and I like that part of the country. Very pretty up there.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Is that where you grew up? I mean, you have an accent. I was wondering if you are originally Scandinavian or did you grow up in Washington?
Well, one could say my family came from Finland 3 generations ago, but born and raised in America, that's for sure.
Wonderful.
I was born and raised in Seattle.
Okay, cool. Well, fun town. Well, that's cool. Sometimes. Yeah. You know what? Honestly, every time I go out there for the Baker Splitboard Festival, for reference, here in Denver, it's very sunny. Like it's almost always sunny, right? Yeah. And I go out to Seattle or Glacier for the Splitboard Festival, and if it's cloudy for more than 2 days in a row, I am just crap mood. So I know how you guys.
To Washington, then, my friend.
I wouldn't last more than a week. I know that. Oh, hilarious. But the terrain out there is so beautiful. It's just wonderful. Here in Colorado, we don't have that kind of maritime snowpack or the waterfalls or the jungles that you have back in Washington State. It's a beautiful natural resource.
Very fortunate to have both volcanoes as well as mountains. So the season literally goes from November until July, and June and July are amazing parts of the season. Like some of my favorite times are when everywhere else they put the skis away.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So out in Finland, June and July, that's where it's at.
Not in Finland, that's for sure.
Oh, back in Washington State. I got you.
Yeah. No volcanoes, no mountains.
I was like, I wasn't aware of those in Finland, but I trust you.
I wouldn't either, my friend. I've looked at the maps and I've tried to find them.
No, I believe you would find them. Oh, that's cool. I'm going through some of your traverses out back in Washington. I can't comprehend them all. Your hit list is just overwhelming. Where do you get your ideas to do your missions?
Topographical maps and Google Earth, pretty much.
Nice.
Studying and being like, whoa, if we ski down here, we get into this valley, and man, I got to ski that line on the next mountain. So I got to climb up that other side to get to it. And
wow.
Just basically coming up with them out of my head. That's basically what I would do, especially ski mountaineering, is have a list of different styles of traverses that I'd like to do, and then be like, oh man, we've got a week of good weather. This is the time to pull it off. It's time to get out now. Because as you know, Washington, I mean, to have 3 days of good weather, like it's solid.
Yeah.
So,
hey, that makes sense. Wow. So self-reliant. It's all on you.
Yeah, definitely. Without a doubt. It's just coming up with creative ideas. Especially in the beginning, I was working with a skier a lot, my friend Jason Hummel, and it was kind of a mixture. Be like, hey, Hummel, what do you think if we go over here and then ski this and this? He's like, but we could traverse 2 kilometers across this mountain to get to the next one. And over time, I grew up and I was like, no, I'm going to climb up this and ski down this, then climb up this and ski down this. He's like, I'll do it, but I hate you.
That's a good partner.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. His name's popped up a few times now. I should probably look into him.
Absolutely super talented photographer, as well as a good friend.
That's awesome. Well, I'll look into him for sure on your recommendation.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, okay. So I'm a gear freak. I'm assuming you're a gear freak too.
If it doesn't break, then I'm definitely a gear freak.
Absolutely. Do you break a lot of stuff? We break a lot of stuff over here.
No, yeah, of course. That's what I became famous for, was doing Sufferfest and breaking my gear halfway through the Sufferfest.
Oh yeah. So you're like type 3 fun. We're like type 1
Yeah,
or type 2 fun over here.
yeah, sometimes I am type 3 fun for sure.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, in the backcountry, things always break. What are your go-to repair kits for things? Like, I mean, what do you always carry in your kit?
Simply duct tape and volet straps.
Boom. There it is. Yeah.
What else do you need?
I couldn't. I was hoping you had some kind of secret thing in there. That's what we all carry too. Gorilla tape and belay straps. They get the job done. Oh, that's awesome stuff. Well, so I have a lot of questions about how you plan out your big missions, what gear you take, and what food you take.
Well, it matters what location I'm in and like what environment. So, say for instance, I've been going to Norway for the past 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and whenever I went to Norway, a hamburger will cost you $40. So I would always bring dehydrated meals and Cliff Bars, and I would live off of Cliff Bars and dehydrated meals for like a month straight. It'd be the same meal day after day after day after day. And yeah, a lot of the time it was dehydrated meals. I was fortunate to get them for Proform back in the days, and Cliff Bar was kind enough to give me all their expired Cliff Bars, and so I would live off of those.
That's a good plan. I respect that.
Well, thank you.
I live off of expired 4 Points bars. It's a local nutrition bar here in Colorado, and my friends Kevin and Pat started them, and they're really good bars. I'd love to send you some, and they don't freeze in the winter, which is why I got behind them.
Oh.
Yeah, so you don't break a tooth. But yeah, all the ones I get are expired. Not bad. They're just can't sell them.
Yeah, totally understandable, and it's a good way to get rid of it because that's free calories, and calories cost money.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. Especially in the mountains and in the cold. I mean, I'm sure you more than anybody I know would know how much more calories you need in the mountains. Burn through them like crazy.
Yeah, Cliff Bars and bacon, man.
Bacon. Now we're talking. Bacon. I love it. Oh, that's great. All right. So we got the food part down. What about other gear? How big of a backpack would you carry? Again, depending on the average mission.
Okay, well, the wildest thing I've ever gotten away with was doing a 7-day solo ski traverse on a 30-liter backpack. Yeah.
That's really wild. I carry a 40-liter for a day trip. I overpack.
I normally do as well.
Yeah. That is hardcore. 7 days, 30 liters.
7 days, 30-liter backpack.
Were you just living off of the berries and rodents, or how did you do this?
No berries, man.
Yeah, berries are only in the summertime, right?
Yeah, but for the most part, 40-liter backpacks, they seem to be like the perfect size.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just all about stuffing every square inch of space with stuff in it. And just cramming as much as humanly possible. Sometimes I'll take a dry bag and I'll connect it to the side of my backpack so that I'll have additional space there. But yeah, like I've always gone off of 40-liter backpacks and 30-liter backpacks.
Cool. And those, I feel like those are great backpacks for shredding too. They're not unmanageable. They're just great. And
yeah, the perfect size. I like to joke there's a thin line between badass and dumbass. And I've been balancing that for quite a while.
Oh yeah. No, I think most tours I go on, yeah, there's one or the other or both, and I've been both many times.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I like to, I find some reward in overpacking to be the hero and like repair the crap on the trail. And like, but then it happens to me, like the last tour I was out with Scott Yorko. You know Scott Yorko?
Yeah, I do. Very nice
Yeah.
guy.
Very nice guy indeed. Absolutely. Him and Lily, the little beagle.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she's so cute, right? Every Christmas or the day after Christmas, which is my birthday, we go out for tour, and it's usually just him and I and the dog, and have a great time. And either Lily will charge down the mountain, or he'll put her in his backpack and snowboard down. It's super entertaining. I'll try and
Yeah,
find a video for that. But for
that's just a dog.
I know she's the most badass backcountry dog out there. She needs her own Instagram page or something.
Yeah.
But we were out touring on last Saturday, and I biffed it, dude. I hit a rock so hard that my GoPro flew off my head, and like another camera flew out of my backpack, and I took a core shot to the board. It was pretty, and then we like had to go through a creek, and type 2 fun for sure. Just wet boots and just like, we gotta get back to the truck, get some food. But it was a good time.
Sounds like most of my tours.
Right. That's what Scott said too. Is like, this is how I splitboard. Oh, there's a Yvonne Chenard saying, right? I don't know if I 100% agree with it. Adventure starts when things don't go according to plan.
Yeah, it's somewhat true. I like to say that one mistake is acceptable. 3 mistakes, you're going to get killed.
Now that I can get behind more. And I was talking to Eric Larson on the last podcast, and I brought up that quote, and he doesn't like it at all. And I know why, and I think you know why too. The amount of planning goes into your trips. My trips are like little trips. The amount that goes into your trips, you're trying to take care of every possible thing, right? And so, like you said, 1 thing goes wrong, volley strap. 2 things, something bad. 3 things, horrible.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Definitely.
I'm with you on that.
Nobody's going to save you in the middle of nowhere, my friend.
No, they are not. Absolutely. Good call. God, I have so many questions for you about gear, but I don't want to bore you. Well, tent-wise, what do you, 2-person, 1-person, bivvy? How do you do, what kind of tent?
Well, it matters the situation. Usually if I know that it's going to be absolutely beautiful weather and I'm out for a few days, I won't even bring a tent. I'll just dig a hole into the snow and then put my sleeping pad down and a sleeping bag.
I dig that.
If the weather is questionable, we'll bring a tent. I like to say summertime, you can get away with 2 people in a 2-person tent, but if it's wintertime, you need to double. So if you're by yourself, you need a 2-person tent. If you're with 2 people, you want a 4-person tent. 3 people, you can do the 4-person tent, but everyone's going to hate each other when they get outside to go take a piss in the morning.
Yep.
The space is definitely vital during the winter.
I like that answer. Personally, I like a 2-person tent for me, or me and my dogs. Like tonight, I'm going camping with my dogs, and 2-person tent's what we do. Yeah, we love camping over here. My dogs are so spoiled. They get out once or twice a week to camp year round.
You are so fortunate, my friend.
Thank you. I consider myself fortunate too. And my wife uses those nights to catch up on whatever bad movies she wants to watch. So everybody wins.
You are even more fortunate, my friend.
A lot of failing forward, figuring this stuff out. Single wall tent or double wall tent?
Always double wall tent. Like usually it's a tent with like just a meshing on the inside and then like a rainproof fly on the outside, so that ventilation goes through quite well. Because as you well know, like camping, moisture will get stuck in the tent. So I think it's very important to have a breathable tent.
I agree with you very much so. Yeah, I like single wall tents because of the smaller pack space, but if they start to wet out, game over. Then it's like snowing in your tent. That's just horrible.
I think I got stuck in a storm where we were in a single wall tent on the top of a peak, stuck for 3 days, and the single wall tent wasn't big enough for me to fully stretch out. And ever since then, I always go for a little bit bigger of a tent.
I dig that. Yeah. You don't want to be touching the walls of a single wall tent. That is just wet business for sure. Yeah. Well, sleeping pad, closed cell foam or what kind of pad do you use?
I'm a I mean, for the past 10 years, I've been a huge connoisseur of the Thermarest Neo-Airs. They're loud, but they're amazing.
They are. You're sleeping on potato chips, but you're tired. You'll you'll be fine.
Yeah, man. I mean, you drive the person next to you kind of crazy, but you're happy with it.
Oh, for sure. It gets the job done. Yeah, I as product testers, we get to work with Thermarest and MSR quite extensively, and they're very cool companies to work with.
Oh yeah, it's been an honor to work with them. I mean, I was trying for the most part to be focused on Pacific Northwest companies, and I mean they were a 20-minute drive away from my home. So
exactly.
Please give me a stove. Please give me a thermostat. What are you gonna do for us? I'm going to break it for you.
That's right. I would guarantee to break it. Their stoves are great.
I should mention that it did not break. All the stuff did not break.
Oh, sweet. Well, yeah.
For the most part, now that I think about it.
For the most, yeah, exactly. I know we sent one out to the jungles of somewhere in South America. And the gentleman, Drew, he's a really cool geologist. He rocks, man. He's cool. He went down there on some kind of like humanitarian effort, and he was trying to burn different kind of fuel. It wasn't like the isobutane. It was like, I don't know, tree sap and tequila. I don't know what he was trying to burn, right? But the nozzle wasn't correct. The nozzle. So, and that's important stuff. And, it was not broken. It was user error, but it works fine now. Little things we learn.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, little things we learn on adventures, right?
Oh, yeah. I was going to tell you a horror story. I've got quite a few of those.
Please.
One time I took my Neo-Air on a 16-day ski traverse. And the first night when we got to our camping spot, I realized that there was a hole in it that I couldn't find. And so for the next 16 days, I did not have an inflated Neo-Air. Still stayed warm. It's not inflated at all.
Oh, I hope you got a massage when you got back in town.
I've never had a massage in my life. One day.
One day for Kyle's birthday, he'll get a massage.
Nope.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, you're right that Mylar Reflective does help keep the heat from being robbed from your body, but I'm sure it wasn't comfortable to sleep on it.
No, not at all.
No. Yeah, those can be a pain in the butt to repair in the field too, especially cold and not looking for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think every brand we've worked with, we've broken their sleeping pads. Yep. So it's just how it goes.
Yeah, it's part of the life to make camping even more miserable. Amazing, but a little bit more miserable.
Oh, absolutely. Well, speaking of camping, are there any things that you always have on you when you're camping? They're just like necessities to make your life better.
And one day, everybody write this down. Tea candles. You put them in a little metal container, and you put a tea candle there, and then you can take your boots and put it on top of it, put your boots over it, and when you light that tea candle, the heat goes up into the boot, and it actually dries them out. So the next day you'll have dry boots. Game changer.
I'm going to try that tonight.
Oh, man.
Thank you.
Make sure to take the insoles out, though.
Good. That's a good
one.
I would have forgotten, and I would have had a carcinogenic insole fire in my tent. That'd be horrible. Yeah. So take the insoles out, and then tea candle over your boot.
Yeah. So you take your boot out of the shell. Take the shell, or not the shell, but the insole part. Not the insole, but the liner. And then you just put the liner over it. And then you just lay it on top of there, have the candle go, and the heat goes up into it and dries it right out.
Oh, that's great.
Warm boots in the morning, just light it up like 10 minutes ahead of time, and then you'll have super nice warm boots to jump into in the backcountry.
That is so awesome and cost-effective and helpful and potentially frostbite saving.
Yeah, definitely.
Really helpful.
And you can get tea candles anywhere. That's the great thing about it.
Right. You don't need a voltage converter. It's a tea candle. Oh, I dig it. Well, okay. What got you into snowboarding?
Oh, man. Not to get too sappy or anything, but I was a huge video game person growing up. Pretty much my life was dominated by video games and television. until I was about 19 years old, and I was involved in a car accident where I watched another person who was in the car, in front of our car, who was my next door neighbor. I watched her bleed to death,
Oh,
and I watched her die right in front of me. And it was, I mean, it totally gave me post-traumatic stress disorder. And for the next 6 months, a year, I was absolutely beating myself up over it. And somebody introduced me to snowboarding, and it was a way to focus on the moment compared to dealing with all the stuff that was going on. And basically, I just started running away from my problems full time. And yeah, that's how I got. So I didn't even start snowboarding until I was 20 years old.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that story. That is, I can relate. I watched my brother die in front of me, and it helped me go into fitness. So like I made that pivotal turn from working in a day job, a corporate job, not a bad job, but going into fitness. And that was my way of getting back into health and taking care of myself and my mind. And so, yeah, I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Well, thank you. It just shows how delicate we are and how life can seriously change in a matter of seconds.
Absolutely.
So make the best out of your life, because you only have one and it could change any moment.
Very, very wise and very true.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And I hope, and I know a lot of listeners will resonate with that, because a lot of people I've talked to in the show have lost somebody very close to them, neighbor, siblings, parents, spouse. And I always like to ask that question, not to get deep and make them hurt again, but to find out what their coping mechanisms were to pursue the passions that they enjoy. And so every one of them has one like that.
Yeah, I think it's a rampant thing in the snowboard or the outdoors industry. I think a lot of the people who are out like climbing are dealing with these things, and that's the way that they learn how to deal with them.
I would definitely agree with that, Kyle. It's very well said. I don't know about your tours, but most of my tours I go on, it's like there's tears on the tour. We're talking about some heavy stuff and working through like mountain therapy, you know?
Oh,
And
definitely.
yeah, that's where we go to heal for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I can definitely relate with that. So I appreciate you sharing that with me. So you started when you were 20 years old.
Yeah, 20 years old, man.
That's pretty late.
Yeah, just a little late.
But not too late. Look at what you're doing. It's awesome. So how long into you started teaching?
I think it was the next year, because I realized how much it actually costed for a season's pass. So it was time to figure something out.
Oh yeah. I how much does a season pass even cost out there in Crystal?
I think it's like $1,600 now.
Oh, that's a lot.
Something like that. Or I'm sure that I'm sure it's like an Epic Pass or something, and maybe you can get it early season for $700. But when I first started, it was $350 for a midweek pass.
Wow.
Times have changed.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, we definitely have it lucky out here in Colorado and other places because of the Epic Pass and the Icon Pass. They did a good job. I don't ride resorts. So what am I talking about? I do all backcountry, but I know for the cost effectiveness, it's a good bargain, especially for people who have family and kids and want to stay safe. And that is a good resource for sure. But it definitely makes sense why you would want to work there to save that $1,600 for sure. Yeah. Wow. This is good stuff. So after the very traumatic incident, what was it about snowboarding that attracted you to it? Like, did you have friends that did it, or it just was something that seemed interesting?
Well, my girlfriend at the time, she had snowboarded since she was like 12 years old. And so she's like, we need to get you into something. I'll take you up to the mountain, and we need to get you somewhere. And basically, she introduced me to not splitboarding, definitely, but snowboarding in general. And it was just like, oh man, I can't think about all that other stuff because I'm terrified of catching my edge. Like, I don't want to catch my edge.
Oh yeah,
that's good. How do I stop?
Totally, you have to be present.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why that's a good correlation. You have to be present when you're skiing or snowboarding, or climbing, I'm sure, or other activities, mountain biking. And like you said earlier, there's so many people in the outdoor industry who are or have gone through big, painful events, and their passion is this kind of outdoor activities, and it kind of
definitely.
drives them. Yeah, it's very common.
I would
But
say at least 60%. I don't want to throw numbers out, but I would say 60%.
I'd concur with that. That sounds at least accurate.
Or at
Wow.
least 70%. Let's move this up a little bit.
Yeah, especially people you and I know, especially probably people you know. I know most of my friends have been through some stuff before too. So, okay, splitboarding. How did you get into splitboarding?
Well, I used to commute with somebody to Crystal Mountain pretty much daily, and I think it was like 2002, my second year. He was like, "Hey, man, I bought this splitboard thing. If you want to hang out and get rides with me all the time, you better buy one of these splitboard things too." And I had no idea what a splitboard was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fortunate to know the Burton rep. And he was like, "Hey, I've got this dusty thing in the closet that nobody's buying. Would you be interested in this?" I'm like, "Hey, my friend's telling me I need to get it anyways. So yeah, I'll definitely do it." And so it was pretty much accidental at first.
Wow. So you got a dusty old Burton splitboard.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
The old interface, didn't know how it worked. Still didn't know how it worked for 2 years while I was like learning. Like, what am I doing, man?
Oh, yeah. The interface I started on with, are you talking about the one where you mount your resort bindings on and then put onto the interface and then onto the pucks?
No, I'm talking about like a Burton specific, I believe. Yeah, actually, I think you do mount it and then put it onto the bindings itself. And it was specifically a Burton interface, not the Volet interface. That's
gotcha. I had not seen that before. That's old school.
Yeah. You should check out a Splitboard museum, and I'm sure you'll find it.
Well, I was over at Never Summer, which is just down the street. My wife and I, we live off of Colorado, and Never Summer is off of Colorado and like MLK, so like 15 minutes away. So I was in their warehouse talking with Vince and grabbing the splitboard that I broke last weekend with Scott. And in there they had like a 1999, 1998 splitboard, and it was pretty badass. But it was rustic. It's historic.
Yeah. I believe that splitboards came onto the market in 1994.
Touche. I didn't know that.
Yeah, 94.
Who brought them out? Like, who was the person?
Oh, I believe it was actually originally through Nitro.
Really?
And then I got this information from Will at Spark R&D.
Oh, yeah.
And, I believe he even has one of those original splitboards, but it was Nitro. And then you saw like Burton and Pryor were pretty much the only companies making splitboards for a long time. And then all of a sudden, a certain Jeremy Jones came out with a deeper, and then bam, every company has splitboards.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that was a big explosion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll have Will on later this month from Spark, and I'll ask him about that board. Get the nitty-gritty.
Well, tell him I said hello.
I'll be happy to. He's great. I love working with him and Dan over there. Good people.
Wow, very good people.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. So after Deeper, everybody wanted to start splitboarding.
Yeah, it was weird. It was such a fast transition from us being the only snowboarders and everybody giving us crap to all of a sudden, hey, this is the cool thing to do.
Right.
And you're like, wait, what? I've been yelled at for the past like 8 years for being an idiot splitboarder, and now I'm the hip guy. This is weird.
Yeah, embrace that. It won't last forever, right? Oh, I have not been as long as you have, but I really have enjoyed being in there in like the early middle part. And like everywhere I go, people are like, what is that? I'm like, it's a splitboard. And you give them the demonstration, and here's how this works. And what's it ride like? Well, like crap, but it's still fun.
Oh, and you get the option to ski down the hill too if you want to.
Right. Oh, I'm so bad at split skiing. I have friends that are really graceful, like ballet level, and I'm just terrified the whole time. I get it done, but I don't like it.
I was fortunate that when I was in Japan, we had a bad season, and so there was an area that I was touring at, and every day that I exited, I had to exit the splitboard and skis. And so I actually got really good connecting my turns, skiing down the whole run after 3 months straight of going to the same touring spot because it was the only place in snow.
Wow. Well, you had a consistent run, so you knew how to like mentally prepare for it. And then the tenacity of 3 months of doing it.
Yep. And like, no, I'm not transitioning anymore. I'm so tired of transitioning.
Yeah.
I'm just going to ski down this. I give up.
Totally. Well, if I'm out with my wife when she's snowshoeing, or friends who are snowshoeing, and we're doing I like to just go around and split ski that way, but not much of a slope. That's I mean, I have to when we're doing on level 2 area out here, and almost everybody was like just great skiers, and there's a few of us splitboarders, and they were like really good. There's like a Navy SEAL in there, and then there's like me. I'm like, I have to keep up with these people. I'm like the black sheep over here. I've got to just double down on the coffee and make it happen.
Just don't fall in front of these people. Just don't fall in front of these.
Actually, the Navy SEAL fell when we had to I was like, whoa, Chip, come back here. We rescued him. He was all good, but yeah, adventure, man. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, this is good stuff. All right. Poles. Do you like carbon graphite? Do you like metal poles?
I like poles that last. I mean,
which ones last?
The BD Black Diamond Expedition poles.
Oh, good call.
I mean, I've gone through so many poles. I'd say over probably the thing that I destroyed the most was poles. And so I went back to Black Diamond because you could beat them up as much as possible, and they'd at least last a few months compared to a few trips. So.
Right. I was, Scott was joking with me because I have the carbon graphite compactor poles, and I've had them for over a season. He's like, how'd you last a whole season? I know. I'm like, I don't usually last a season. And then they broke on the next tour. I was like,
it's because you said that they don't break. That's
they're like, hold my beer, watch this.
Last for us.
Yeah, now I'm like everybody else, broken poles. Yeah. But one of my partners does use the Expedition poles, and she loves them. So that's good poles. Oh. What else? We could talk gear all day long. Sleeping bags. What kind of sleeping bags do you like to use for winter camping?
Well, I had the fortune that I was sponsored by Eddie Bauer for quite a long time, and so my closet is full of Eddie Bauer sleeping bags.
Cool.
So I've been very happy with them. Anything that's down Eddie Bauer makes really good quality of.
Nice. Do you go for like a -20, -40?
Actually, I go with the 0 degree bag 99% of the time. Nah.
Do you layer up with lightweight? Exactly. I have a 0 degree Montbell that never leaves my truck. It's year round. It is always my go-to bag, and I can get that below 0 easily by doing puffy pants, down pants, down booties, and a down jacket. Good to go.
One of the most essential things with overnight camping, down pants.
Oh, they're the best.
Man, they're amazing.
I mean, I don't know why everybody else doesn't have this as like an essential camping item,
Yeah.
I have these Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisper or something or others, and they pack up to, like this size right here. They go everywhere with me. They're just cozy.
You almost just want to take them with you to a hut somewhere, and then just sell them to somebody for twice as much as you got them for, and then go back home, buy 2 pairs, go to another hut, sell both the pairs, then buy 4 pairs, and there.
You're the Curtis Mayfield of down pants. That's impressive. Pusher man. I'm actually doing a hut trip with this guy, Jeff Fielder. He was a natural photographer, really great environmentalist, and I'm packing on doing my down pants for that trip, and probably sleeping outside because I snore quite a bit. So on hut trips, I like to sleep away from people for their own benefit and mine too.
More for everybody else, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
So if we're ever camping and I'm farther away, that's why. Staring at the stars and snoring away.
I'll be sleeping in my igloo.
Good for you, man. I have yet to do the igloo yet. I need to learn that skill set. Be very helpful.
If you're doing an overnight trip, it's definitely not worth doing an igloo. But if you're staying at somewhere for like a week or so, then it's definitely an amazing way to go. but it takes a special skill to
Oh,
build igloos.
oh, I bet. Well, any tips on building the igloo? I've never attempted to build one.
Buy an icebox igloo maker because it has the molds for the blocks, and then you just move the block, move the block, move the block, move the block.
Love it. So you're like an ice. What are those people called? An ice mason, like a Freemason, but an ice mason, snow mason.
I have become more of one over time.
Yeah.
When I was in Japan 2 years ago, I actually built an igloo on the side of the ski resort halfway up the mountain. And to save on accommodations, I just slept in my igloo for like a week straight. Ski
That's
patrol
awesome.
came up and was like, "What's going on here?" I'm like, "Come on and check it out. Come have some coffee." And like, "Arigato gozaimasu, arigato gozaimasu."
Oh, that's so cool. Oh man, I love your stories. I want to hear more about these adventures. Let's see. Did you have any mentors in the snowboard or splitboard community that you looked up to?
Well, one could obviously say Craig Kelly.
Yeah, good
Craig
call.
Kelly was the man, he was a baker local who went and traveled all around the world. But other than that, yeah, I was just kind of keeping my head down, just so busy learning my own stuff that I can't really say that I have any mentors other than Craig Kelly. He's the man. Or he was the man. He's still the man.
Mm-hmm. I dig it. Yeah, and looking, I mean, I'm going to put a link to your website so people can see, like, you had your head down doing a lot of stuff. So I can see why. You're out there doing it. So
Yeah, that was the thing, is I was too busy splitboarding to be a part of the splitboarding community.
yeah, that is kind of a catch-22, right?
Totally a catch-22.
That's
And
all.
it became an issue in my professional career that, I was too busy being out in the mountains for long periods of time to try to get Instagram followers.
Oh, the numbers. I
Yeah.
have a lot of friends that are sponsored, and I don't envy the amount of resources from them it takes to support that machine.
Yeah,
So
like, I'd be lying if I said, like, I've had so many situations where I've tried to get sponsorship through a company, and
mhm.
they're like, well, we really like what you're doing, but you don't have enough followers.
And isn't that so messed up? Because in our world, in our community, you do have followers.
Yeah.
You're very well known internationally, right? But on Instagram or Snapchat or TikTok or whatever's going on these days, it's just different, right?
Yeah, it's just a different world. I mean, I could go on it for days about this, but yeah, it came down to, man, you don't have enough followers. It's not worth it for us.
Oh, so I'm so sorry to hear that. You're worth it to us for
Well, thank
sure.
you very much. Not
Yeah.
complaining, just telling it how it is.
Yeah. No, I get it. I was hired to do copywriting for van life, which I'm not a van life person. I'm a tent life person. And
Okay.
everybody's comparing their Instagram followings. And I'm like, I don't have 1,000, but I know more than 1,000 people in the world. And I have a book I've, shared on your platform before, and,
Yeah.
YouTube channel with 3 million people, and different things to affect people and teach people. Right.
Yeah.
And so, to me, I rather serve honestly and teach and be authentic than for the gram and get followers and do stories. And it's a time suck too. That's time
Oh,
I could be
yeah.
spending with loved ones and being outside and playing with my dogs.
Like, my big thing is that, say if I did die, like in the mountains, I
Mm-hmm.
wanted people to say that I was a genuine person, that I was myself, that they
Mm-hmm.
knew who I was. Like, compared to like creating this, like, this is who I am, like, just going over the top and trying to promote something that wasn't me.
Yeah. Good for you for coming to that realization. It is a lot more people are still stuck in that world, I think, of curating this perfect image when life isn't perfect, right? I mean,
Far from it, my friend.
far from it for sure. Sometimes I'll go to an event or a party or meet people, and they'll see I have a pretty flashy Instagram, or used to at least, and people are like, "Oh, you're all doing all this fun stuff," and I'm like, honestly, I am doing those fun things, but in the background, I'm dealing with trauma and caretaking for parents who've passed and all this other real stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
The last year or so, I've tried to hopefully not bring people down, but bring people into the world and be like, this is actually what's going on in my life. Not to bum anybody out or to be over the top curated, but like it's a combination, and we're all fighting our own battles. And
yeah, and it was always weird because, like, so I'd post this, say, a photo of me skiing this amazing line, and then you'd get like, oh, you got 300 likes. And then it'd be like, oh, here's what's really going on with me in this world. It'd be like, oh, 20 likes.
right, it's the same person. You would think they would like everything but you. Yeah, I feel you, man. It's a tricky balance. But the reason this conversation even came out is because your post yesterday, and you had hundreds of people reach out, right? How cool is that?
Yeah, in all honesty, I was blown away by the kindness of people. Like, obviously, I went on a social media blackout for 6 months, and I needed to let people know why I was silent, and hopefully could inspire people to be honest,
I hope so too. Like you said, it's way better to be appreciated for being genuine, honest in who you are, as opposed to a curated version of who others want you to be.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, hats off to you, man.
Well, thank you very much, my friend.
You're welcome. So, what do you want to put your time into next? You have a lot of skill sets.
Oh man, this is the overwhelming thing. Well, the first thing is I live in Finland, and I don't know if you're aware, but it's not a grammatic language. It's not like Swedish or Norwegian or German, which is loosely a straight translation to English. Finnish is its own language, spoken by like 6 million people, and everything's in code. Every word has so I live in Rovaniemi, you could say Rovanimissa, Rovanimita, Romanim, and like every word has 16 different ways to express I was here, I am here, are you coming here? And so I'm always around people and I don't know what anyone is saying. So it's easy to feel like an outsider. So my main priority right now is to understand the language and to be able to communicate in our 6 million person little code words.
Yeah, code words. Wow, that is, that's a situation. On a much lesser scale, to relate to that, in high school, I had a French girlfriend, and all of her friends were international foreign exchange students. So there was Spanish, Swiss, some Arabic, and French. And then there's me, just this dirtbag in Denver. I don't know anything, but maybe like "Donde está tequila in the biblioteca?" It doesn't really help me anywhere. So that's tequila is in the library actually. But anyways,
Sounds like a good library.
I found it the night before we got married. I found a bar in a library and we had tequila. It manifested, Kyle. It worked out.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a decade of manifestation and it worked. But I can vaguely empathize with how unique of a situation it is for you because you're actually living in that culture. These people are speaking a foreign language to you, basically.
I mean, my wife's mom does not speak a word of English for the most part. So,
wow.
Sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes it's a curse.
Well said. I bet you're getting good at reading body language.
No, I'm amazing at reading body language.
Good. Very helpful.
But say when it comes to splitboarding right now, I think I need to really focus on teaching people what I learned through my website. Tips and tricks, what I was going through. I'd like to write some books and be honest with what my mindset was, because everybody sees these trips and they're like, oh man, they were so physically demanding. And they were physically demanding, but the mental aspect of it was so much more of a factor. And I mean, there's been a handful is an understatement of the times where I've almost died. And once you're in camp that night, you think about that type of stuff a lot. And just doing that type of stuff. Once my schooling slows down a little bit, I'd like to get back into potentially avalanche training and also potentially go to Splitboard festivals once again and start talking to people.
Oh, That would be great.
Just tell people you can do whatever you want to do. Even if you don't think you can do it, that's the best time to do it.
I like
Because
that approach.
the verses, like, I didn't think I was going to pull them off.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I just had to put my feet in front of me and just go, being terrified. But you just got to do it.
Yeah. There's no perfect time. You just got to do it.
Yeah. Unless it's a Pineapple Express and raining, then you probably shouldn't do it.
That's good. That was good. Oh, I dig it. Well, I know the world would love to learn more about how you see it, how you would teach to people to enjoy it. And your website's great. And I think that's a great idea to do the YouTube video. Do you have a YouTube channel too, I'm assuming?
I don't. I need to come up with money to be able to edit videos because my trusty old 15-year-old Mac doesn't exactly work too well. But it is my hope that in the future I'll be able to start doing YouTube videos for instructions.
I would be honored to help you in any way with that. I started my YouTube channel with an iPhone.
Really?
That's it. iPhone, iMovie on here. I did interview Patagonia, Cody Townsend, put it up on YouTube for free, and then just build off of that.
Okay.
It's as simple as, like you said a paragraph ago. Just that's a start.
Okay. You've changed my mindset. I truly do appreciate that.
My pleasure. If I can help you anyway in this path, I'm super stoked. And the world will be super stoked too. Yeah, great. The Kyle Miller YouTube channel is coming alive. This is great.
This is how you skin. Low angle. It's got to be low angle, my friend.
Yes, exactly. Get those videos up there, man. And I'll reshare them like crazy and help you out. This would be great. All right. So your website, YouTube. Books. Would your books be more about, would it be how-to, or would it be more about like you mentioned, the mindset,
No, they would be much more probably focused on chapters of my life.
Cool.
You know, chapters of my life through splitboarding, how I got to this stage and how I got through this stage and then how I got to this stage type things. And I mean, there's always could do like a tips and tricks book, but at this moment, I think I would focus that on the website and YouTube, and then just, you know, make books about, man, I did this really stupid trip, you know, I can't believe I survived.
Yeah.
And that type of stuff.
Well, I'll buy your first book, man. I'd love to read about that. That'd be great.
If only you buy the second book.
I'll buy every book. Trust me.
Cool. Because I just made 15 books. So I'm expecting you to buy all of them.
Do you take
they don't have any writing in them, but
I can trade you on my wife's Mollis. She makes good Mollis. Well, I think it'd be really good. I don't know any other, very few books out there from a splitboarding perspective of that, as opposed to just like the hit list kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, if you want hit lists, you can always look at my website. My website, that's what it was hit lists.
It is a staggering amount of hit lists. I've looked at it like 20 times and I still can't process it. It's daunting.
Yep.
Yep. I lived it.
A lot of writing.
A lot of writing.
You're like, I did the same tour again, same skin track, same list. Do I write this down or is it just the same trip 50 times over?
Well, to that point, people make fun of me all the time out here in Colorado because I have a very, I don't say narrow, yeah, it's probably a narrow list of my favorite places to go. And they're like, okay, Sean's going to be at this place, that place, or this place. That's about it. I do venture out other places, but you know, I like to go to my blue zones, you know, my favorite places.
I have a secret place in Washington that I've been going to for the years, and I'm like, oh, if I post this online, there may be 5 other people there. Be like, do I talk about it? Do I not talk about it?
Oh, I know
it's on the website, but I don't promote it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the power of social media. I started doing. They make fun of me because they call me like the mayor of Jones Pass sometimes because I'm always at Jones Pass, even year round camping. I'm going there tonight to camp. And I do. Yeah, I love it up there. It's so pretty. And I started tagging on Instagram where I was. And I don't know if it's like me being crazy or if it really did happen, but the traffic there like quadrupled over the years. So it's
Oh, yes.
yeah. It's also pretty close to Denver, but
A long time ago, I was thinking about making a guidebook for Crystal Mountain, but I went and I talked to all the locals, and I asked them if they were okay with that, and everybody said, please don't do it, and always respect the locals, so I never did make the guidebook.
smart, Kyle. Out here we have one, the Gore range, and people, it's the range we don't talk about. It's really, yeah, the Gore is pretty cool. My friend Mike runs a private Facebook group for the Gore, and they're a little secretive, you know. And they, like you said, locals, it's their area. They're not trying to blow it up and make it a hugely available place for everybody.
Like, I don't want my tires slashed when I get to the trailhead.
Right, yeah. And that kind of weird behavior does happen. He had a rock thrown through his window while his daughter was in the truck when they were sleeping at the trailhead. Totally uncool.
I was going to say that's unacceptable, but that means that slashing tires is acceptable. So I'm going to say all unacceptable.
They both suck.
That's next level.
Right. You endangering other people is just not called for.
Yeah, that's I'm sorry to even hear that.
Me too. Yeah. It was an eye-opener for sure. But yeah, some people get very protective of their stuff, and it is what it is. Well, I really dig that you're wanting to share what you've learned, which is a lot of stuff, and you have a lot of ways to share it. And of course, I'm honored to help in any way to share it.
No, thank you very much.
That's my absolute pleasure. I have another question for you. I have a fitness background, so I always try and ask, like, what do you do for fitness? Like, what is your daily routines or habits, or do you do yoga? Do you do Wim Hof?
Since I've stopped ski touring as much as I used to, I'm not out doing a week-long ski traverse, burning off every calorie I have. So now I'm eating healthy, going to the gym every morning wake up at 6 a.m. and then go to the gym for like an hour and a half. Chest and back, arms and chest and all that type of stuff. But beforehand, I can express it through a funny story. I was preparing to do a 16-day ski traverse, and this other guy that I was living with was preparing to go to Alaska. He was going to the gym every single day and getting prepared for Alaska while I was just sitting at home eating ice cream. I pulled off the ski traverse, and sadly, he did not make it to the summits he was looking for in Alaska. I've always thought to have a little bit of body fat just in case something bad happens. Then you have days where your body can just eat off that body fat. So like, I was never a super slim person. I was always like, well, I need to have body fat just in case, I get stuck out somewhere, and I'll be much warmer than my really skinny friend over there.
Right. No, I like that logic quite a bit. I'm a fitness trainer as well. So a lot of people will approach me for almost aesthetic reasons. Like they want to be really, want a 6-pack or 8-pack. And I'm like, why? Why do you want that?
Oh,
and
man.
Yeah, not in the mountains, guys. You don't want that. I mean, I know I'm sometimes envious of my friends who are lighter weight. I'm 210. So, I'm pretty dense, but I have an insulating layer, so I keep warm. Yeah. And I like it. And also I don't get sick. I don't get run down. I don't get too cranky. But I watch the other guys who are just beans, and they miss a few meals. They're done for.
Oh, man. So a few months ago, I was in a depression. And I was like, okay, how do I get out of this? Well, the first step is healthy body, healthy mind. So I made a goal to lose 50 pounds. So I weighed 200, and I made it down to 150 pounds. I'm 6'2". So it's kind of over the top, to say the least.
Yeah.
But to make a smoothie took me 30 minutes. I had to prepare to get off of the couch, and I had no energy.
I don't even know how you survived.
That's why I was like, okay, I need to gain some weight back.
Yeah.
And then I can start bulking up. My plan was to get rid of all the fat and then bulk up, but I had lost way too much. I made my goal. I made my baggage from the airplane 50 pounds, and then it was time to move on.
Well, you hit a goal, but let's not get you back there again.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, you learned that lesson.
Yeah.
No, that's very helpful. And it's good to hear from you too, because I try and in my mountain fitness courses in the books, I'm like, calories are important in the mountains, especially when they're cold. You're burning more calories than you think.
Yeah.
So it's nice to hear from you, a professional, that is still true.
Oh man, one time I rolled my ankle and I went to the gym for 6 months straight, got super bulked up. Then all of a sudden it was ski touring season. I lost all that muscle in about 2 to 3 weeks. So
Mm,
it's like, man, like all this work that I did, that was the first to go.
that sucks.
Well, it is what it is. I was still enjoying the mountains, so it was still pretty good. But
Well, fair
it
enough.
taught me something for sure.
Yeah. Um, I think 3 or 4 years ago, this is kind of a funny story involving rehabilitation of legs. I was eating some pizza or something or fried chicken, and I put the plate down too quickly, hit the table, and the porcelain plate ripped open my leg. I needed it was gruesome. It's like it was deep. I won't show a picture, but 250 stitches, 4 layers deep, and I couldn't operate my leg correctly. And I work in a facility that's got 2 physical therapists, and I was like, Marty, one of the PTs, I'm like, I need to be able to squat, dude. And he's like, then just bite the bullet and squat. The stitches aren't going to rip out. So I did. And now I just squat butt to the ground, no problem. And like you say, you just got to do it. Just got to do it.
Yeah, it's terrifying, but
Oh, for sure. I was like, all my leg guts are going to come out, but they didn't. It's all functional.
it was like when I did that. Sorry, once again, when I did that 16-day ski traverse, I had a rolled ankle probably 8 months ahead of time. And just the mental aspect of, is my leg going to hold up for this ski tour? Should I be doing this? Am I asking for trouble? Like, you're asking for it. But I was like, okay, well, the only way I'm going to find out is go. And I was very fortunate that my ankle held up for the whole trip.
I'm glad I did too. That's a heck of a big commitment to go into.
Terrifying.
Yeah. I wouldn't have the balls to do that.
I wouldn't either.
Well, I appreciate the honesty about that. This has been a lot of fun, Kyle. I got a couple more questions for you if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
Cool. We were joking before the mic was on about the berries in Finland. I love berries. We used to grow like raspberries, blackberries, boysenberries, and strawberries back in Omaha where I grew up. What kind of berries are you working with out there?
Well, we have blueberries, obviously. They run absolutely wild everywhere here. And then we have a special type of berry, which is called a cloudberry, that grows up in like the Arctic tundra. And it's super funny because it's kind of like backcountry skiing at home. Nobody talks about their spot where they picked them because you have to go out into swamps and you have to pick them one by one by one. And so, like, people will hide their cars on the side of a trailhead and be like, oh, the cloudberry season hasn't started yet. It'll start in like a week. And, like, you have 1 week to get as much cloudberries as humanly possible. So it's just, like, this absolutely crazy backcountry skiing style mindset. They're like, somebody's following my car. They're going to find out my cloudberry stash. I need to pull over and let them pass.
That is really awesome and entertaining.
It's pretty hilarious, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think I saw a picture of your cloudberry harvest, and it stuck with me for a long time. And I Googled it this morning, and I was like, they look like a cloud, like a yellow cloud, right? Or orange cloud?
Yeah, it's like a orange berry, like orangish, yellowish berry that has seeds in it. Kind of like a raspberry, but bigger.
Cool.
And not nearly as delicious. But don't tell that to a Finnish person. That's the not kill you.
They'll be very offended.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to learn about the berries, and there's another one, lindenberry, or what was it?
Lingonberry.
Lingonberry, yeah.
That's just like cloudberries, or not like cloudberries, but pretty similar to blueberries, just a little bit more sour.
Okay.
So it's funny because you've got the cloudberry season, then you've got the blueberry season, then you've got the lingonberry season. And so, like, the joke is in Colorado, you have 4 seasons. Here in Finnish Lapland, which is in the Arctic Circle, we've got 12 seasons easily.
Because of all berries?
The berries, the fact that in the middle of winter we have 2 hours of daylight, and during the summer we have 4 months without seeing stars.
Wow. Now that's a talking point right there. I would freak out. I couldn't even handle a whole long weekend in Seattle. How do you handle the darkness out there?
Oh, the darkness is so much better than the summer. At least I got to see the stars, and it's the summer that you're just like, oh man, this just needs to end. This is getting very old. But it's not like I can change the sun, so you just have to deal with what you have.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Do you have like blackout curtains and like eye masks and stuff?
I mean, everybody has thick curtains, but no, we don't. You just kind of adjust to it. But I would say camping is kind of changes the mindset of going out and camping when it's just consistently sunny and there's just a million mosquitoes surrounding you. So you're just like, held hostage in your tent, and you're like, oh man, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. I just want to go home.
Yeah. Oh, I don't like mosquitoes at all.
No, then don't come to Lapland in June and July, my friend.
I don't think I will. That's kind of like I camp in the winter. There's not really much in the way of bugs. I dig it.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, Kyle, this has been a lot of fun. Is there anything else you want to cover?
Well, I could tell you some crazy stories if you'd like.
Oh, I got ears and a microphone. I'm ready for them.
One of the more hilarious stories that I have is one time I went on a 4-day ski trip where we climbed up a mountain off of the road, skied down the backside of it 2,000 vertical meters, and skied the surrounding peaks. And we were so happy about it. We had a campfire, and I had put my boot liners next to the campfire and fell asleep. The next morning I woke up and I didn't have boot liners. My boot liners had fallen into the fire and completely dissolved. And I had to climb 2,000 vertical meters in my snowboard boots with crampons on, side hilling the whole way back up, and snowboarding back down the backside, another like 1,500 vertical meters, 6,000 feet. And basically all I did is I stuck all my down coats inside of the boots and made the best out of it. Another time, I think it was actually a few days later, I went on a 7-day solo ski traverse and left my skins outside of my tent. And the next morning I woke up and the wind had blown away one of my skins. And so I was stuck in the middle of nowhere by myself with only one skin. Volet straps. Put 5 volet straps onto my ski that did not have the skin on it, and it created enough traction that I was able to get out.
Smart.
This is like in a 2-week period. It's like, man, I am really trying to kill myself this month.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to endure there.
And this is the appetizer, man. So many different stories like this where it's just like, man, I am really trying to kill myself. Like, oh god. Yep.
Wow. On these trips, is it you by yourself or do you have other people with you?
For the most part, it's with other people, but sometimes people have different schedules, and the weather's still good. So I've done quite a few solo ski traverses, but it should be mentioned that they were always areas that I was familiar with, especially in like Mount Rainier National Park. I've been in that area for 150 times, 200 times. And so I was very familiar with the terrain. As long as I get from here to here, I'm totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
It was always, whenever I was doing solo ski traverses, it was in terrain that I was 100% familiar with, and the weather was 100% solid, beautiful blue skies.
So that all lined up very well.
Yeah.
I always carry several volet straps. I'm going to carry at least 5 from now on. Yeah.
A minimum of 4, just in case both of your skins fail. Then you could put a volet strap on the tip and tail of both of them. And then you'll be able to make it in and out. So I always carry a minimum of 4 volet straps. That's always been my backpack.
I like that. I think I always have at least 3, hopefully 4. I'll check my backpack today.
Go with 4, man. Because
I own like 20. I should just stick at least 5 of them in there at all times. And I rotate through backpacks sometimes, and I always double check to make sure that appropriate things are in there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. like the toothbrush and the spoon. How many times have I left my toothbrush at home?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I don't want my gunky teeth. I like my oral hygiene, you know?
Yeah, I think it's pretty important, or else you could have a root canal like I did in Bolivia without any painkillers. 7 days. Most painful experience in my life.
Oh, yeah. I had a friend, Will, recently go through a major infection in his mouth and started to go up to his brain. And just watching his pain, he's good now. He's good now. But yeah, no joke. Oral hygiene, very
I
important.
had the same story, and I was in La Paz, Bolivia by myself, and
Oh,
my face swelled up to like a baseball on the side of my face. I had to wear a bandana over my face and try to look threatening in case anybody was going to rob me and shoot me.
right.
It was quite the wild experience, to say the least.
I can't imagine. And you had no painkillers.
No, and my tooth shattered, so they had to take it out in pieces.
Oh man, that's horrible. Oh.
Yeah.
You
If you want to know what pain is, that's what pain is.
yeah. Man, you're tough, Kyle.
No, other than your dish story, man, that sounds horrible, man.
No, the dish story was actually pretty entertaining, honestly, because not to gross you up, we have dogs, and I was like, I didn't want to tell my wife that I cut my leg open, so I was trying to like tourniquet it, and the dogs are licking all the blood up, and I'm like, oh, we have white carpet and white walls, and it's just like a murder scene, you know, and I didn't want to tell her. I was embarrassed. I was like, I messed up. But we go to the ER, and we went to the wrong ER. It was for vets only. And I get in there, and they're like, your papers. I'm like, I have my ID. Like, this isn't a military ID. You got to go. I'm like, but there's a trail of blood behind me. So we stole their wheelchair and went next door. And I got a really good surgeon and a really attractive nurse who wanted to be going to plastic surgery. So she offered to sew me up for 3 or 4 hours and became good friends. It worked out really well. And the EMTs are so fun. They have great sense of humor. And it all worked out, you know, like your situation. Makes you appreciate and makes for a fun story. But yeah, dogs drinking blood. And then, to clean the carpets, we had to find somebody who would take the job. People are like, this is a crime scene. I'm like, no, it's not a crime scene. Trust me.
Who died here? Who died
here? It's an active crime scene.
I promise you're lying to me. Who died?
We found this couple that did it in their off day for cash. They did a pretty good job, but yeah. Do what you gotta do.
Like, I don't see blood streaks on your wall, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, cash doesn't bounce.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you definitely need to write a book because your stories are awesome.
Oh, well, thank you very much, man. And like, if you have any questions, I'm all ears, man. I'm more than happy if you have any more questions of any sort.
Oh, I'll talk your ear off. I mean, from a fitness, from a navigation, from a gear standpoint, a lot of our listeners are, you know, it's the Engearment Podcast, and we do gear reviews. You know, gosh, there's a lot of questions I have. What kind of stove would you carry for your trips?
MSR reactor. It's the best. You may disagree with me on this, but it is the fastest in melting snow. Like, okay, it's not good at like cooking meals or something like that, but like if you want to melt your snow down as fast as possible, or if you're like me and you need coffee as fast as humanly possible, the MSR reactor is bar none the best stove that I've ever come across, and I've been using them exclusively for 10 years.
All right, perfect. No, I wouldn't disagree with you at all. I think it's more important to be able to melt water or melt snow, get water, than rehydrate meals with that than it is to cook up food.
Yeah, that's something. That's something that's always in my backpack is my MSR reactor, just in case I need water or if I get pinned down overnight that I can make something warm.
Smart. Yeah. And then your dehydrated meals, are they store-bought, or do you make your own like soups and lentils, or?
They were Mountain House for a long time. Mountain House used to do Proforms for athletes, but I don't think they do them anymore. And so now I need to persuade my wife that I really do need a food dehydrator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just got one. I don't know how to use it, but I got it for that reason. I'm like, I train a lot of bow hunters. And so when things go well, which is not very frequent because bow hunting is very hard, I get meat and I want to make some jerky.
Yeah, of course.
And then,
I think you just turn it on, man. I could be wrong, but I think those food dehydrators, you just turn them on and they magically dehydrate everything.
You're probably right, Kyle. I probably should just read the box and be like, all right, apply heat.
Whoa. We've gone too far with reading instructions. That's what I got.
That's right. I don't do words, man. I do jump in the fire. See if it works.
Just check it out on YouTube, man.
Oh, well, there's an idea for YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Your first video.
How do you do dehydrated food? Turn the machine on.
Yeah. When you know it's done. When it's smoking.
Oh, man.
Okay, so stove, that's very good tip. At least five volley straps, super simple. Duct tape, very simple. 40-liter backpack. And then in your repair kit, what goes in your repair kit?
Once again, it's mainly I'll always bring extra screws, and then I'll have a screwdriver as well. And then usually I'll bring a small bale of wire, just in case.
Wire?
Because sometimes you have to just connect things back together. It hasn't happened to me too often, but like a long time ago, I went on a ski traverse with a brand new set of bindings. I was like, oh man, these are gonna work amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I lost the toe cap, the ankle strap broke out, all the screws fell out, and it came down to are these bindings going to hold up long enough for me to get out of the backcountry?
Wow.
Once again, 7-day solo trip.
7-day solo trip. Wow.
What
kind of wire are you talking about? Because I'm trying to wrap my head around that. I'm going to go get it right now.
Like chicken wire.
Chicken wire. Okay.
Oh. It doesn't really weigh anything, and if duct tape doesn't take care of it, then chicken wire will.
My father's redneck, a good one. He has all his teeth. I'm going to use that line on him next time because you know the line about duct tape, right? But chicken wire, that's the first I've heard of that. If you can't duck it, then F it.
Okay,
yeah. So chicken wire replaces the F now to chicken wire.
Okay, yeah. And say, for instance, duct tape. So if you're on a ski traverse and all of a sudden you start getting a rash on your leg, rash, you just put duct tape over it once it starts, because if you don't take care of it, then it's going to get 10 times worse and could make it so that you can't even move. So I always say if you start feeling pain in your feet, put duct tape over it immediately.
That's genius. I didn't even think about that. But that's good stuff. What about tenacious tape for repairing a jacket or a tent?
Usually I just put duct tape over it.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Less is more. Those are good.
Yeah. Or else if they get too bad, I have to retire them because they smell like body odor so bad.
Oh, yeah. I wash my gear a lot. I stink. So I have a lot of tech wash.
My wife feels your pain. Your gear's home, put it in the back.
Oh, exactly. My gear closet and my gear garage are it's not public accessible. It's just away, which is where it should be. First aid kit. What goes in your typical first aid kit, or you carry anything extra?
Well, my first aid kit is pretty simple. Once again, volley straps in case of a tourniquet of some sort, gauze pad. I also am a firm believer in, the Delorme InReach.
Oh, yeah. Got one of those. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because just communication. When I got married to my wife, she's like, it would be nice if I knew where you were. So I was like, okay, it's Christmas. We'll get me a Delorme InReach, and then you can just see where I am. And, when you're on a 2-week-long ski traverse and hopefully you don't get internet, then you can have somebody tell you what the weather forecast is.
Yes.
A friend introduced me to it when we were on a 2-week trip in New Zealand. And, without knowing the forecast, we would have just been sitting in the hut the whole time, absolutely terrified to go outside because weather can change in 10 minutes. And it just takes one cloud to make things super dangerous.
It makes sense. To your point, I have an InReach as well, and a baby stick in a spot. I don't like the spot very much. Back in July, my friend Rafael Peace was down in Chile on the first ascent for a volcano, and I get an inReach message like 2 a.m. Sean, what is the wind speed and temperature in Fahrenheit at this elevation? See, I'm like, all right, I got you, buddy. Send it back to his inReach.
Oh,
And yeah, and it worked out well, right? Knowing the weather was crucial. They summited, life's good, but inReach is for sure.
one time I had a spot locator when I was down in Bolivia,
Mm-hmm.
and it accidentally went off in my backpack. And the Bolivian military called my mom to let them know that they were about ready to go searching for me. And I happened to be on Facebook that day, and my mom's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" I'm like, "What do you mean, what's going on?" It had accidentally triggered while I was traveling.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't use a spot anymore either.
Like, last thing you want is the Bolivian military looking for you.
Yeah. they did your jaw and your teeth, but it won't let the military deal with you.
No. They're like, how much money do you have? Nothing. Oh, well, you die in the mountains then.
Exactly. Take my spot, please. All right. So first aid kit, no additional medications or like water purification tablets or SRAM splints or anything like that.
Well, being in the Cascades, we'd always have so much water from snowmelt. So I actually was very fortunate that I've never actually purified water, and I've actually never gotten sick. Now, if I was hiking during the summer and I knew there was a trail above me, I would not get water from that area. But I always made sure that I was in a location where there was, for the most part, no activity above or around me. So just straight out of the creek.
I like that. That's really cool.
And then usually we take like a Vicodin or two with us just in case. Not saying that we're just popping Vicodin and hanging out at a tent site.
I've done that before, but
no, I'm not going to say I haven't done that before, but the meaning for it is just in case something goes bad.
I'm with you. I carry some tramadol, right? So a step down from Vicodin, but no acetaminophen in case that wouldn't bother somebody's liver. So I carry caffeine, probably some benzos of some sort, and tramadol. Just a bonus in my kit.
Oh, definitely. It's definitely.
It's a good kit. Some kind of fire starter, I'm assuming. Lighter, matches.
Usually like 2 lighters for the most part.
Cool.
And yeah, usually with 2 lighters and an MSR reactor, you can start a fire on pretty much anything.
Nice. A good call. And then layers. So, yeah, I like layers.
Okay, man. Well, this is it matters where you are is the most important thing. But I remember, so what I like to do is like wear like a Primaloft layer, like a synthetic down, and then like a really thin shell on top of that. And the thing is that the more layers you have, then you can mix and match in certain, it's super hot out, then just wear the shell. It's super cold out, but you're going to get wet, and you go with the Primaloft. Okay, say it's really good weather, then now I can switch over to down and a shell on top of that. If I'm at a ski resort, then I'll wear a thicker coat, obviously. It's much better to have more layers so that you can adjust as you go on, because, you'll start off a skin track wearing 3 coats, and then quite quickly you'll be wishing that you just had a shell on. So you just take off those layers, put them in your backpack, and then I always carry a down coat in a dry bag in my backpack, and that's just like my emergency situation. Like, as I've started ski touring more, I've always kept an emergency down coat and base layers in my backpack, and that's just in case I get pinned down and I have to stay the night over somewhere. I remember one time I got stuck with a friend. We climbed the south face of a mountain, and we had to ski down the opposite side because it was way too steep and it was way too firm. And so we skied down the other side, and we had to stay overnight in the mountain, in this valley. And I had a huge down coat. He didn't. And just shivering all night while I'm wearing this huge down coat. I thought I was going to get killed in the middle of the night. I was like, I'm so glad I brought this coat. Like,
Yeah.
so sorry you didn't bring additional coat. And ever since then, I've always been like, I'd much rather have additional space of clothing compared to almost anything else.
That's really good advice. It makes me feel better. I always carry about 8 ounces of down fill, and it weighs about 1 pound. And I always have it in this compression sack at the very bottom of my backpack. Haven't had to use it, but it's nice to have it there.
Keep it in a dry bag, man, just in case.
Good idea. It's not a dry bag. I'm going to do that immediately.
Seriously,
today.
dry bags are a solid investment. Dry bags and compression bags.
Yep. And I've got a boatload down in my gear closet, so I'm going to take your advice and do that immediately.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. It'd probably save my bacon.
You can tell that I'm American because I say thank you very much, thank you very much, thank you very much. In Finland, it's like, give me this, give me that.
Well, it's kind of funny. I grew up in the Midwest, and we're overly nice there as well.
Yeah.
People are like, "Stop being nice." I'm like, "Okay, no."
I'm sorry about being so nice. I'll stop it immediately.
Yeah, stop saying sorry. I'm so sorry. It's just what we do, right?
It's such an American thing.
Yeah.
Maybe Canadian too, but definitely.
Oh, Canadians. I like the Canadians a lot. I got arrested going into Canada when I was 19. They're the nicest jail I've ever been in. It was a good experience.
Oh, we got you some coffee, eh?
Oh, yeah. Like, this really, really nice bailiff. She gave me a lizard with a Canadian. I'm trying to see if I have it on my desk. Usually I do. Not today, I guess. A Canadian pin, like the flag, in the tail of the lizard, and give me her phone number. And she's like, "Don't think lesser of us Canadians, eh?" Thanks. BC's pretty.
That's like I was in New Zealand, got a speeding ticket. They're like, "Oh, we don't want to ruin your vacation. We're so sorry that we're giving you this speeding ticket. Don't think wrongly of us." And I'm like, "Oh man, how did I get busted for speeding on the one road that's straight in this damn country?"
Nice people are great. Jackets. What kind of hard shell? Like hard shell, soft shell, Gore-Tex, Event?
I'm a big fan of Event. I really do like Event. Got really good breathability. For sure.
Yeah, I dig Event too.
Yeah, but it matters, like say if I'm in a place that's just snowing and absolutely nuking, then I'll wear like an Event coat. But if it's super nice weather out and everything's good, I'll just wear a rainfly. I mean, it's just enough to break the wind, and it absolutely weighs nothing, and it's not too much of a concern. Say if I get pinned down, then I just put on all my down coats and perfectly fine. But so it's always mix and match for the weather conditions that you're dealing with.
I dig that for sure. What about goggles?
That's a good question. I always have destroyed goggles, and so like for a long time I was wearing Smith goggles, and they were very nice. But I highly recommend, there's a company out of Japan that makes, it's called Swan goggles, and they're really cool because you know how I think Julbo has the thing where you can send your lens out a little bit. Well, this company Swan is the original creator of that, and it's got these amazing tabs that you just like take the tabs and just, and then you've got that ventilation in there, and so you could totally ski tour and wear goggles the whole entire time. Let's say if you're on a glacier, like you just wear those and then just open it up a little bit. If you're in Japan and it's absolutely nuking snow and you're in a gondola, all you gotta do is flick, and then you're not gonna get that condensation moisture inside them.
That's awesome.
Amazing goggles, and I highly recommend them.
I had not heard about them. I'll reach out to them. I do work a lot with Julbo, and I have a pair of the ones you mentioned where the lenses pop out, the aerospace or whatever they're called, and it circulates. And that's nice, but if Swan's the OG, I'll hit those.
Yeah. I mean, it's Asian fit. I'm not racist when I say it's Asian fit, but it does fit a little bit interesting, but super high quality goggles. I highly recommend checking them out. They're well worth it.
Cool. I'll look into those guys. Swan goggle. Yeah. What about sunglasses?
For the past few years, I've just been going off of gas station sunglasses.
I like that.
I've just beaten sunglasses up so much. And I was using Smith sunglasses for a long time, but I didn't have sponsorships through them. So it was, do I spend the $150 on sunglasses, or is that 1/4 of my plane ticket? And so, yeah, usually just like $10 gas station sunglasses absolutely look ridiculous, but they work.
You could pull it off. You're Kyle Miller.
Oh, man. One time I had once again, another story, I apologize, doing a 18-day ski traverse, and I was on glaciers, and my sunglasses lens cracked in the middle of it. So for the first day or two, I was like, okay, you just deal with the crack. And then I started getting like glass shards in my eye. And I was like, okay, I need to do something about this immediately. And so I took glue that I found in a hut and smeared it on the cracked areas of the sunglasses. Like, okay, now I can only see out of one eye, but it's better than seeing out of neither of my eyes.
Wow.
Oh, stupid stories, man.
That's mind-boggling.
Oh.
You're just hanging out on a big old 18-day thing with glass in your eye.
Yeah.
Yep. Adventure.
You just got to work with what you have, man, because it is what it is.
Yeah, it makes you really appreciate having good optics, being able to see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Oh, sunscreen. What do you do for sunscreen?
Oh, let's see. It's kind of a nostalgia thing, but I actually use Hawaiian Tropic just because it smells absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Now, like, say, for instance, in New Zealand, they have a really bad UV problem.
Mm-hmm.
So people there have a real big issue with skin cancer. So I was wearing a buff over my face, and then just a beanie, and then, goggles, my swan goggles on top of that, because it never really exposed my face. But I really hate putting sunscreen on my forehead, because once you start sweating, then you get sunscreen in your eyes, and it's always on the sketchiest part of the climb that sunscreen starts burning in your eyes. Yeah. But also, a trick that I've learned is you take chapstick and you put it over your eyebrows, and then it makes the sweat move off to the sides.
This is gold, man. Chapstick on the eyebrows.
Yeah. I mean, you look ridiculous when you're doing it, but you look ridiculous most of the time anyway, so just go with it.
Yeah, totally. And you can see. You don't have the sunscreen in your eyeballs.
Yeah, that's kind of nice when you're crossing a crevasse.
Yeah, safety first.
Yeah.
These are gold nuggets, man. This is super helpful stuff.
These are the random things that I've learned over my time in the mountains.
Your extensive time in the mountains.
Yeah.
Wow. This has been mind-opening. I've got 2 pages of notes and then Evernote going. I'm gonna have a lot of notes for this episode, Kyle. This is great.
All of them are tried and tested.
That's right. Kyle Miller approved.
I'm not lying about these things.
No, I believe you. A lot of them help validate my neuroses and overpacking, and a lot of them are new to me, which is great. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you, Kyle. I mean, I've learned a lot from this conversation, and I learned a lot from you prior to this conversation. Really just appreciate you as a person.
Oh, well, thank you very much, man.
My pleasure. Thank you for your time today. And I'd love to do this with you in the future again, because I'm going to have more questions, lots more questions.
Line them up, man.
I will.
I'm in Arctic Finland, and we've got 2.5 hours of daylight, so I'm home quite often.
Excellent. Well, stay tuned. I'd love to have you on next month or so. And I'm actually writing a follow-up to the Splitboard book I wrote. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to put you in the book and share your experiences.
Oh, it'd be an honor to be involved in any way that I can help people. Then it would be an absolute blessing. If I could help one person, then I've done well in my life. That's always been my mindset.
I love that. And I really agree with that. I mean, I know I'll go on the record saying that I deal with a lot of adversity as far as I put a lot of content out, and a lot of it is well received, but I'd say probably 10 to 15% is not well received, and you get weird comments, and it can really, I'm a very emotional person. I'm trying not to take it personally,
Yeah.
So, I guess where I'm going with that is like you said, I will deal with that 15% of BS if it helps one person, right?
Yeah.
So I respect that about you.
Oh, well, thank you very much, man.
Hell yeah. Well, let's change the world, Kyle. You're liberated, man. You have a lot to share, and I'm honored to help you in any way possible. Help you, with YouTube and anything else I can do to help out and share your messages and share your love with the mountains, with the people.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And once again, it's an honor to be involved in any way that I can.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you very much. Well, I'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll sign off for the podcast. And we're going to be in touch really soon again about this stuff, Kyle. Well, thank you for being on the show.
Back to the biathlons with my wife. Woo!
Yeah, woohoo! All right, everybody. That was Kyle Miller, living legend. Such a good guy. Thank you for your time. Check out the Engearment.com podcast. I love you for listening. Until next time, take care.